Higdon the single setback. And they give it on the end around. This is Ronnie Bell. And Bell.
So Bell's dropped for a loss on this jet sweep. Let's look at the offensive line first. Their job is just to not let anyone through. So you got Runyon blocking defensive tackle, defensive end. You got this double team from Ruiz and Bradison. And Ruiz is actually going to go pick up this linebacker. You got Onwenu on the backside, JBB on the backside. Their whole job is just to protect this this lane for Ronnie Bell, just to ensure no one gets in the backfield so that Ronnie Bell doesn't have to get too much depth here. And they all do pretty well. You see no one got into the backfield, so it's a good job. On the front side, two main blocks here to look at, but let's first focus on Gentry. Gentry has a really tough job on this defensive, looks like outside linebacker. He has to go outside, and he was lined up on McCune, and you see we've already lost this block from Gentry. His head's on the inside, and this defender is going to shoot upfield, and this is what causes Ronnie Bell to have to bubble out on this. So, you know, it's a really tough block for Gentry, but he doesn't accomplish it. And I think a way that they could have accomplished this is by McCune getting a chip before going out on this defensive back. Now, he does get this defender well on his block, but I think given the alignment of this outside defender, it would have really helped Gentry out to get an initial push with him in order to give some leverage for Gentry initially. So it does look like he hesitated there for a second, but then shifted his eyes out to this defender. So I don't know if that's like a coaching thing or just on McCune based on alignment, but I think he should have went out there and gotten him. Only other block, Higdon is doing a fake before going out to pick up this backside safety. Nothing too much here. The only other argument I see is, this lane did open up based on this defender shooting upfield. That's not how the play is called. I think it's really tough to expect Ronnie Bell to make that read, so I don't really fault him for this either.
Here's Patterson to throw out of the shotgun with time. Tucks it. And
sack for Northwestern on 3rd and 7. Northwestern's only rushing 3, and Michigan has 5 blockers to deal with them. You have the guys coming free here. He's going to be pushing up on the pocket. Pay close attention between Ruiz and Bradison. This defensive end is going to shuck Bradison, and there's this gap here. There's a pretty poor job, I think, by Ruiz to not fill this gap and be on Bradison's hip. As a result, not only does the guys have pressure, but this defensive end is able to further close this path for Patterson and get half a sack. So not great by offensive line there. Let's look at the left side here. Nico Collins on an out route, and then you're going to have Higdon coming late on this flat route. It looks like since Northwestern is running a zone that right about here, this route for Collins is open. Given how short of a window this is for Collins, he would have to be looking right here. Notice really quickly on this other side that DPJ is just falling now. So pay attention to the coordination of those events. On this right side, you're going to have Gentry coming off late into a flat route. You have a dig route for Perry, and then you're going to have this post route for DPJ. So again, the timing on this, look at when DPJ falls right about now. This does look like a window for Perry here. This linebacker will come up to guard Gentry, so not really an option, but it did look like there was some room to work for DPJ given the safety wasn't really in the area and linebacker didn't have a whole lot of depth there. So unfortunately he falls there, and you'll see based off the reads that looks like where Patterson wanted to go first. So you'll see he's looking at this deep safety, seeing which way he will go, and based off that he'll probably look at Collins or DPJ as a first read. Now he's looking at the corner that's tasked with covering DPJ. Right about now, DPJ is probably falling on his route, so he takes a quick look over at Collins, but at that point, Collins was already into his break and not a whole lot of room there. Late, he's looking at Gentry, but given that this linebacker is coming up in the flat, it's not really an option, so it results in a sack, unfortunately.
Higdon running it this time, and he's stuffed.
Run for no gain from Higdon on Michigan's next drive here. Let's look at the backside first. On the right side, you got both Ruiz and Gentry tasked with one-on-one blocks on the backside. I see they both do well. Their whole job is to not allow penetration on the backside, and they both do just a fine job. You got JBB on the left side kind of setting this left edge of this hole, he does well to stay engaged with his defender, and throughout the play he keeps this left edge pretty well defined. Key block number 1 here is running and Bradison double team this defensive tackle before Bradison's tasked with going to get this backside linebacker flowing to the play. You'd like to see Bradison help a little more with the double team. You see now Runyon is getting kind of rocked back into the backfield. That will affect Nwenu's pull. We'll get to that later. So Bradison does get to the second level and gets a good block on the linebacker. You'd like to see him help on the double team a bit more. Now, I think Nwenu's pull is a little sloppy. I think he doesn't get enough depth. He's kind of shuffling instead of driving through on his pull. As a result, his initial contact is with Runyon. He'll slide a little bit too far. That allows this linebacker, given he's late, he runs into his own guy. That gives more ability for this linebacker to get into the backfield. Given that Onwenu was still sliding to the left instead of kind of running into the hole, that leaves this gap for this linebacker to make a play on Higdon. So not really what you want to see. You could argue right here that since Higdon is about ready to make a cut, I'm not sure why he would cut here given that he has another lineman right here. You could argue he should have bounced outside, but then maybe this linebacker would have read that. You could also say maybe going up here off of Ruiz's butt where Bradison's picking up a picking up a block would be a better option, but at the end of the day, it's a power play. He's following his blocker. I can't really fault him for that. It's just not the best double team, not the best pull, and result is a no gain.
Play fake, deep drop. Patterson steps up in the pocket, delivers to the sideline.
Great play design, brutal drop from McCune. It's like a Northwestern in the pressure they bring here. They bring 4. So you have this defensive end going upfield. You have these 2 defensive tackles slanting to their right. You have this linebacker looping around coming inside. And then you're going to have this defensive end dropping to the flat in pass coverage. Michigan actually does a pretty good job of picking this up. They do keep 6 in, so they are, they obviously have more blockers than rushers for Northwestern. But JBB does a good job. This defensive end is way too deep. You got 2 blockers one-on-one with Ruiz and Onwenu. You have 3 blockers here to deal with this other defensive tackle. So big pocket for Patterson, so that's a win in my book. As far as routes, you're going to have Ronnie Bell coming on this fake and just kind of chill at the line of scrimmage. It's kind of a dump-off route. You have Nico Collins running this deep kind of inside seam route, I'll call it. You have McCune running the flag route. And then you're going to have Higdon out of the backfield on the fake, just kind of in a spot route, kind of a little curl right here at the first down marker. Notice how all of these routes kind of open up McCune's route. So given this fake on the outside for Bell, that really pulls up this safety. That opens up a lot of this side of the field, as you'll see. So you got the safety coming upfield as a result of that. Given this route from Nico Collins, that's going to occupy both 24 and put the safety in a tough decision on whether to come up on McCune's route or drop and help cover that deep route. And that's really what we'll see is that safety did drop, and that'll open up the flag route for McCune. Brutal drop. Man, it hurts to see. And you'll see the eyes for Patterson reflect this kind of read. So you see right away he's looking at the safety. Is he going to come up here into this flat area? Is he going to drop? If he drops, that opens up this flag, which is what we see. If he doesn't drop, and if he does come up, that's going to put Nico Collins with an inside route one-on-one and 24, and that's a shot you take all day. Again, since he did drop, that opens up the flag route. Tons of space to operate, and bad drop.
Northwestern showing blitz. They check it to the near side, and out of...
One of the more frustrating plays of the day for me. 3rd and 2, he doesn't pick it up. Let's first look at the 2 key blocks on the edge here. You got Perry tasked with blocking out here, and that's going to be against number 24 flying upfield. He actually does a good job. It's a lot of ground to cover, and he's running pretty much full speed and does a good job taking him out. You'll see right here he sells out for the block. The guy does come in minimal contact with Collins, but overall that's a good block, and it doesn't affect Collins too much there. Now DPJ is where I have an issue on his block. He's tasked with running up to this defender right here who's going to be coming up. What the mistake that DPJ makes too much, look how far upfield he gets. He's already past the first down marker, and he already like made a decision on which way he was going to try to block. Since he was so close to the defender, that gives enough space for this defender to make a move and get around him before the first down marker. If DPJ, say, had just broken down right here, kept his base and then wait until this defender made his move to engage on the block, that still would have given Collins adequate room and knowledge of, okay, this is my block, this is how I should cut around it. Since DPJ went so far upfield, that gave an opportunity for this defender to make a play, and he does. As a result, he's one of the key tacklers on this play, and, DPJ isn't in a position to make any blocks. So that's not a good play, but that's only secondary to Nico Collins on this. So he catches the ball here, makes the appropriate move here. If you told me that he would not get this first down, I would call you crazy. It just kind of boggles my mind. Right here, he should be diving or at least going straight at this guy to fall forward. Instead, he decides to try to juke to the inside. He's trying to make a bigger play than he has to. The play should be to get the first down, not to pick up 5-10 yards. Instead, it's a 1 yard gain, and it sets up 4th and 1.
And they give it to Higdon. Higdon trying to get through. I don't think he did.
Michigan gets stuffed on 4th and 1. It's like the backside first. You got Martin, JBB, Ruiz all on the backside. Their assignment is just not to let anyone through on this backside. They all do well, no issues there. You see backside, no one really gets through, so mission accomplished there. You're going to have Runyon and Ben Bradison on this defensive tackle before Runyon will fall off late, back flowing linebacker. So you see they get really good movement here. They push this defensive tackle quite a bit. You're going to see this linebacker take out this leg for Runyon, and that prevents him from getting any sort of block on this backside linebacker. I think that's unfortunate. I don't really fault Runyon because he looks like he was in position to fall off and pick up that block. But, good movement at least initially. You got Gentry doing well and gets good movement on this edge defender. Don't know what McCune's doing. He should be head up on this defender trying to get the save movement that Gentry gets. Instead, this defender kind of shucks him, gets upfield. McCune ends up kind of blocking nobody. You see, he's kind of useless now. And now you have a big problem because you got 2 edge defenders and only 1 kick-out block from Ben Mason. He can't pick up both of them. He picks up the first one he saw, but look at this free gap. You have him when you pull and he's looking inside. You have this guy with a free shot right into the path of Higdon. So that kind of blows up this play overall. I'll get to the pull here next, but I put that on McCune for the lack of execution there. You're going to have another pull from Onwenu that I'm not really happy with. So given the movement from Runyon and Bradison, you got a lot of space here, and that's what this linebacker's looking at. Given that, I think Onwenu's a little slow actually filling this hole, this linebacker takes that space, dives in, kind of gets a piece of an ankle of Higdon, and then, given that he's already there, Onwenu is stuck in this hole, tries to pick up this linebacker, but he actually falls over, given his momentum is kind of moving, in 2 directions. So given this linebacker's here, Higdon's forced to bounce out this way, but then he's got this edge defender that McCune led up, so between the bad pull and the bad edge block by McCune, play was kind of dead to rights.